All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending tonight's Don't Do Dumb webinar. I'm Jim Madel, licensed financial advisor with Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management for about 3 years now. And tonight I'm joined by Jim Hendricks, certified financial planner and owner of Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management.
Hello, everybody.
We've been doing these Don't Do Dumb events live near our office in West Dundee, Illinois, and via webinar since September of last year. And we've covered a variety of topics, such as our thoughts on how much to have conservative versus aggressive in a portfolio and our reasoning behind it. We've discussed how we can assist in becoming more tax efficient when naming beneficiaries on your taxable and non-taxable assets, plus a variety of other topics. In tonight's session, however, we're going to be discussing everyone's favorite pastime, budgeting, and why you may or may not need a traditional budget. There is an area for you to submit questions for us, and we'll look to answer any questions we receive following the presentation. Also, be sure to stay with us to the end, and we'll see who wins 2 tickets to a Chicago Cubs game at Wrigley Field for this year. So, without any more hesitation, let's get started. All right, tonight we're going to be discussing budgeting or alternatives to budgeting, or possibly not needing a budget. However, no matter which option seems to be the best for you and your lifestyle, one thing that we hope shines through, budget or not, is you still need to manage your money effectively. If you struggle to manage your money currently, then you should absolutely use a traditional budget or one of the alternatives we'll discuss tonight. This is going to assist you in understanding where your money is going on a daily, monthly, or annual basis. We understand budgeting can feel restrictive and time consuming, but if you don't know where your money is going today, you could have financial difficulties tomorrow. So, are you a budgeter by nature? Some people just embrace building out detailed financial plans and creating spreadsheets to allocate every dollar of their income, while others absolutely despise the very thought of building and sticking to a budget. So not everyone enjoys the nitty-gritty of budgeting, and that's okay. People have different financial personalities, and a traditional budget may not be the best fit for everyone. Here's some common financial personalities. So as I go through these, see if one of these or some combination thereof describes you. First, we have the saver. Security and stability are their top priorities. Savers thrive on detailed financial plans and tracking every expense. People with this personality are likely already using a traditional budget and enjoying the feeling of control it brings to their lifestyle. Next, we have the big spender. Big spender enjoys spending money and thrives on the experiences that money can buy. They may struggle with sticking to budgets. It makes them feel restricted, which is normal. They can benefit from alternatives to budgeting, such as setting spending limits and focusing on goals that they set for themselves. With the setting spending limits and focusing on goals, we're going to dive deeper into some alternatives. Those are 2 alternatives to budgeting. So we're going to, after we do these personality types, we're going to get into some of those alternatives. Next, we have the high earner with consistent income. They usually have a large, predictable income stream that provides them with a sense of financial security. People in this personality type don't really feel the need for a detailed budget, as they can comfortably cover expenses with their income. Instead of a traditional budget, high earners can usually benefit from focusing on long-term goals as an alternative. Then we have the free spirit. This personality trait dislikes feeling tied down by financial restrictions, and they prefer a more relaxed approach to money management. They can generally benefit from budget alternatives such as mindfulness practices and setting clear financial goals to help them avoid overspending. And finally, we have the natural tracker. They generally have an intuitive grasp on their spending habits. The natural tracker may not need a formal budget, but instead they tend to keep track of finances mentally. A good budget alternative for them may be simply reviewing their bank statements periodically to identify areas for improvement. Just remember there's not a single budget personality that is the best or one that you should strive to be. And many people and couples for sure are a blend of multiple budget personality types. Understand the strengths and weaknesses within your own personality type and find an approach to finances that works best for you. So if you're not a budgeter and we know there's still a need to budget and manage your money, what can you do? Well, here's a few alternatives to creating a traditional budget. I mentioned many of these as we walked through the budget personality types. So first we have goals-based planning. Start by identifying your short, medium, and long-term financial goals. These might be vacations, down payment on a house, retirement, etc. Assign each goal a priority and allocate a specific amount from your income towards each goal. Monitor your progress towards each goal and adjust your plan as needed. This will help keep you motivated and focused on achieving your financial dreams. This alternative is good for when we went through the personality types. This one would be good for the big spender, the high earner, and the free spirit. Next is the 50-30-20 rule. This is a popular budget alternative that offers a framework for allocating your income. The gist of this is to allocate roughly 50% of your income to needs like housing, food, and utilities, 30% to wants like entertainment and hobbies, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. But be flexible and remember this is a guideline, not a rigid rule. Adjust the percentages based on your unique situation and financial goals. We help a lot of our clients determine their percentages and what they need to be to align for their long-term goals so that 50-30-20 isn't necessarily rigid. This is a good approach for many people, but usually the saver and the natural tracker personality types adapt this if they don't already use a traditional budget. Well, this alternative method fell into the free spirit personality. Mindful spending can be a good choice for anyone, and it goes with a lot of logic. With the mindful spending process, you should be deliberate and intentional with your purchases. Before buying something, ask yourself, do I need this or just want it? Or can I find a cheaper alternative? You can even implement a waiting period for yourself before making non-essential purchases to avoid impulse spending. The next alternative to budgeting is to track big expenses. Focus on your fixed costs first. Monitor significant recurring expenses like mortgage or rent, car payments, and utilities. Understanding these.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in on this one just real quick. This is actually one of the bigger things that we see. And when people are having trouble making ends meet, a lot of times it's because they've locked themselves into having too many fixed costs. And a big one is your housing. So a lot of times people, when you go to look for a house, you see house A that's within your budget, house B that's 5% over your budget, and house C that's 10% over your budget. And it's just natural to kind of see yourself wanting or feeling like you need to have house C that's 10% above your budget or what you thought you might spend on a house. And now you're kind of locked into spending more. So what we have to tell people in that situation is, okay, the next time you come to make a house purchase decision, then don't go for the gusto. Be mindful that you need to put X% towards your retirement accounts before you pay your mortgage, and you're not going to be able to do that if you end up spending more than you can afford on your house. So, again, it might not be a matter that you need a budget. It might just be a matter that you need smaller housing expenses. But if you're locked into that, you're going to need to either wait until your income goes up, or you can do something to bring your housing expenses down before you're really going to be able to make ends meet.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jim. And understanding these fixed costs help you plan the remaining income you have to allocate towards other expenses and savings. This alternative would fall more like into the natural tracker, and the big spender personalities would adopt this sort of thing, but it's good for everyone, like Jim was saying. And finally, review and adapt. Another good alternative for the natural tracker. In the review and adapt alternative, you make sure to regularly review your bank statements and track your spending patterns. A lot of statements now have started to categorize things for us to make it a little easier. With this, you identify areas for improvement, analyze your spending, and identify areas where you can cut back or simply optimize your spending. And remember, be flexible. Your financial situation can and will change. Review your plan and adjust as needed. So whether you use a traditional budget or one of the alternatives we just discussed, remember, financial fitness is a journey and not a destination. Life is full of changes. Financial priorities change through the years. Early in your career, you might focus on budgeting or building an emergency fund and paying off student loans. Later, you might prioritize saving for a down payment on a house or starting a family. Then, as you approach retirement, your focus shifts to managing investments and ensuring a secure retirement income. Your financial plan needs to adapt to these changing circumstances in your life. Learning and growing. Twists and turns are inevitable on this journey. New investment opportunities, tax laws, and other changes in the economy pop up routinely. Stay informed, and staying adaptable allows you to make informed financial decisions throughout your journey. And the other thing is, learn to expect the unexpected. Be proactive and not reactive for things like job loss, car repairs, illness, etc. Building an emergency fund and having a buffer allows you to weather these storms and get back on track with your financial goals. And develop healthy financial habits. Just the fact that a lot of you have joined this meeting, and there's a lot of clients on this meeting as well, tells me that you have developed at least a few good, healthy financial habits. It may involve learning to live below your means. It may involve sticking to a budget or using one of the alternative strategies we discussed, and consistently saving and investing. These habits take time and practice to solidify. Make sure you maintain motivation throughout your financial journey, regularly reviewing your progress, celebrating milestones, and adjusting your plan as needed can help you stay motivated along the way. Financial fitness is a lifelong pursuit. It requires continuous learning, adaptation, and responsible financial management. By embracing the journey and making informed decisions, you can achieve your financial goals and build a secure future. So, in summary, budgeting is a valuable tool, but it's not the only path to financial well-being. If you're not a budgeter by nature, explore your personality that we discussed and find an alternative method that might work for you. Financial success is about being responsible habits and informed decisions. And remember, one of the things I led in with, budget or not, you still need to manage your money effectively. So anyone that came into this thinking we're going to say, don't worry about the budget, scrap it. We're not saying don't pay attention to your money. We're saying exactly the opposite. Find a method that works for you to manage your money effectively. Jim, you got anything to add?
Yeah, actually, I have a few comments. Just kind of more off the cuff remarks that I wanted to make. Budgeting is kind of like dieting in a way. It's for some people it's really, really easy. For some people it's really, really difficult. And it's easy to start, but then it's often something once you start, it's really, really difficult to stick with. And I think a common mistake that many of us in the financial planning industry make is we a lot of times people in the financial industry, money management comes a lot easier to them. It's a lot more natural for us than it is for the people sitting on the other side of the desk from us. So we just jump to the conclusion, well, okay, we'll just create a budget and stick to it. We have to realize it's not necessarily that easy. So we've kind of come to the conclusion that, okay, maybe this budgeting process really isn't for everybody. I was just going through, and I was speaking of people in the industry. I have this personal finance book that I bought back in 2003, and it's about 600 pages long. And I was going through here and looking at it, and there is chart after chart after chart, or worksheet after worksheet after worksheet of things that the author of this book, who I won't mention by name, expects the reader to fill out on their own behalf. And it's just impossible to think that anybody would do all these things in their own personal finance journey, much less do a simple budget. So overall, we do realize that it is difficult to keep a budget. And as long as you're paying yourself first and then not building up a debt at the end of the month, as long as you're not tacking money onto a credit card or a home equity loan or some other form of debt at the end of the month, then at least you're progressing the right way. So know, hey, as long as I'm paying myself first into a 401k or some type of investment account and then not building up a debt at the end of the month, then maybe I don't necessarily need to budget. But what you do need is a financial plan. So the financial plan is what tells you whether or not you're going to be able, we say in our practice, we want you to be able to maintain your current standard of living for the rest of your years, throughout the rest of your life. And the only way you're really going to know whether you're on pace to do that is by having a financial plan. And it might also help you solve for the variables. Hey, what if I want to retire at age 65, or if I want to retire at age 62, or if I'm going to be receiving a pension, not receiving a pension, whether my mortgage will be paid off or not. A financial plan can take all of that into consideration and tell you what you might need to do with your future savings in order to be able to meet your long-term planning goals. So other things, Jim mentioned that 50-30-20. We really do within our financial plans, not necessarily make you do the 50-30-20, but we help you figure out which saving percentage is right for you, how much you should be saving toward your long-term investments first before you pay anything else, and then everything else can fall in line. So we really focus on that 20 portion of the 50-30-20, which was paying for investments and paying yourself first. And then we kind of let you figure out how the rest of that falls in for you most conveniently, as long as you're able to make ends meet. Also, when it comes to budgeting, I think a lot of people really know deep down if they're running off the rails or if they're not quite where they want to be at the end of the month. People really know deep down what's causing them to miss. And I think a lot of times they're not really honest with themselves. And I'm kind of reminded of an experience I had with a client many, many years ago. She sat with me and she said, Jim, I make a decent income in our household. We make a decent income. But at the end of the month, we're $500 short every month. It's going on a credit card, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. So I started asking some questions, and the low-hanging fruit that came up was this person was spending $300 a month, a little more than that, on getting their nails done, and then $600 a month on a personal trainer. I don't begrudge people those activities, but those are certainly wants, not needs, right? So that's $900 a month. If you think about $900 a month going to those expenses, that's more than $10,000 a year. And if you factor in the income you need to make net of taxes in order to be able to pay for those things, if you gross up your income for taxes, you're upwards of $14,000 if you include state taxes in most states that you need to make in income just to cover those two simple expenses. So you can see how things can kind of run off the rails fairly easily. And, maybe that person didn't need a budget. Maybe they just needed to eliminate those two expenses. And then all of a sudden they'd be in the black every month and be able to pay down that credit card debt a little bit instead of being in the red and building up $500 of credit card debt. I wanted to share also my personal story when it comes to budgeting. For many years early in my career, I was the nerd that kept the Excel spreadsheet, that kept every line item by line item by line item budgeted, to my family's dismay. And as the income went up, then it became a little easier to make ends meet at the end of the month. And then the need to budget kind of just went away. And now, as long as we know that we're saving enough and our long-term financial plan is in place, then the need to budget kind of isn't there anymore. And again, we're not building up debts anymore. So we know we don't really have to worry about maintaining a budget so much anymore. So anyway, that's kind of, and again, housing is one of the big things. Now, if you did want to have a budget, we do have a template. In fact, it's the same template that I used to use back in those old days when I was running a budget, and we update it every year to make so this year we've got the 2024 version of it, and we're happy to send that to anybody who is on this. So if you feel like a budget might be for you, or you want to get going just to kind of identify and be able to categorize your expenses, let us know and we'll be happy to send it out to you. But I think those are most of the comments I wanted to make, and we're happy to take questions now if anybody else has got them.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, and I do see there's at least one that came in, so we'll get on to the last slide here. If you have any questions, there's a Q&A box down at the bottom. Pop that open. Ask your question. We'll do our best to answer as much as we can that comes in. And also, if you see on your screen now, there's some upcoming Don't Do Dumb sessions that we have planned right now. And if you've stuck with us this entire time, it's about time to give away 2 Cubs tickets for Thursday, August 1st. They're playing the St. Louis Cardinals at 7:05. If you win, you will need to have the MLB Ballpark app on your phone, and I will send tickets to the email you've provided about 1 week prior to the game. You saw me while Jim was talking. Unfortunately, those of you that have been with us before, I have the wheel of names, but the webinar would not let me pull that up. So I've punched everyone in on my phone this time. So the wheel of names is going on my phone again. So let's get our winner.
Yeah, we can't see it, Jim, so you might have to take a look.
All right, we have Fahey. So we have Fahey won. So I have your information. I will reach out to you and get that all set with you, and we'll go from there. If you would like to attend one of the future sessions of the Don't Do Dumb, we have the events page listed up there, jghfs.com/events. We will keep them going up there. Middle of July, we're going to be talking about how much money do you need in retirement. August, we're going to have In Trusts We Trust, simplifying a complex process. And then in September, beginning of September, we'll have one on how much risk should I take in retirement. So
we have some Q&A, I think, Jim.
Excellent. Perfect.
So one of the questions is, do you offer the PowerPoint as a download or PDF afterward?
Yes, absolutely we do. So we not only will have it there, I can also send you a copy of the webinar. But sure, we can definitely send out a copy of the deck we used tonight for you. So duly noted. I will put you down there and we'll send that out to you.
And the second question just says, thanks for the great info. So thank you for the comment.
Thank you very much.
Happy to tackle any other questions right now. Also, we are live in our West Dundee offices right now. So I am going to stick around here in my office. If anybody has questions that they wanted to ask us live, I'll hang out here for a little while. It's getting close to the end of the workday here in the Chicago area. It's almost 6 p.m. But I'll hang out for a little bit and answer any phone calls. So if you wanted to call us live with a question, the number to reach is 847-428-3997. Again, that's 847-428-3997. And you see ways to get in touch with us. There's on our website, there's an info email, so you can send us an email using that info link if you wanted to, right on our website at www.jghfs.com. And if you still have questions now, we're still happy to take those as well here in the webinar too, by clicking on the Q&A button down at the bottom.
And again, for the winner of the Cubs tickets, I will reach out to you via email, likely tomorrow, and we'll get everything arranged there.
Okay, there are no new questions.
All right.
So with that, we'll conclude it. Jim, I'll let you take it home.
All right. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully we see you on July 17th for the next webinar from the Don't Do Dumb series. Have a good night, all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.